Hi everyone, welcome back to E-commerce Success by Ad360. Today I'm going to introduce a few strange words that we see all the time in e-commerce marketing and advertising. These are CPM, CPC, PPC, CTR, and I know a few people have asked me to define these and take some time to explain what this all means. And these acronyms and this jargon is used by e-commerce professionals and marketing experts all the time, but we tend to forget they're newcomers to online business, and we need to include them and make sure they understand what we're talking about. So today's video is going to help you make sense of all that stuff, and I will give you a few tips to increase your online sales along the way. If you like this video, if you enjoy this content and this channel, please subscribe, like the video, comment below. All these actions help us tremendously. They make sure these videos get suggested to more people by YouTube. This video is brought to you by Ad360. Ad360 is the easiest way to start advertising online. In just one click, you can get your Shopify products promoted everywhere online, in websites, in mobile apps, and it's as easy as clicking one button. If you want to learn more, there is a link in the description to book a free demo, and we can discuss your marketing strategy and what's the best way to grow your shop and your revenue. Okay, let's jump into the content. So this is a blog article. I don't frequently talk about a blog, but there's a ton of free content, valuable content in ad360.media/blog. So I will put the link of this article in the description below. I really recommend you take a look at the website and the blog, because we have a ton of different articles about retargeting, conversion rates, analytics, Facebook ads, Google ads, how to improve your online sales. So we give a ton of free content advice. We publish 5 articles per week, and I really think you should check this out. Okay, so this article goes in detail, so I won't go through everything. I will just give you a few simple definitions and a few tips here and here. So pay-per-click means you're paying a fixed price for a click. So it's a business model for certain types of online ads, usually used in online affiliation for blogs, sometimes on, for example, Google ads, campaigns. You can pay per click, meaning you can get a guaranteed amount of clicks. So you say, okay, I want $3 per click, and so you pay $900. You guarantee to get 300 clicks. That's a good model if you're not sure your product is interesting, you're not sure there's a product market fit, you're not sure people are going to click on your ads. That can be interesting. But usually you're paying a higher price per click if you're doing that, rather than running regular CPM ads. Don't worry, I'm going to define CPM, and optimizing your ads so that they go out in front of the right people, so that they click on the ads, and at the end of the day, usually you're going to pay a higher price doing that. But it can be a good way to start, and depending on the platform you're using, you don't always have a choice. So what's the cost per click? So if you're in a PPC model, the cost per click is $3, but sometimes you don't have a guaranteed number of clicks, so you calculate CPC by taking the amount of money you spent on your ads, and you divide by the number of clicks. So if you spent $100 on ads and you didn't have a guaranteed number of clicks, you just pay to get your ads running on the number of websites, and you don't know in advance how many clicks you got, and at the end of the campaign you see you got 50 clicks. So that means you got 100 divided by 50, so $2 cost per click. So this means that on average you pay $2 to generate 1 click with this campaign. So CPC, you want to get that number the lowest possible. The lower the better, because this is the CPC is the cost of 1 click, so the lower the cost the better. It means for the same budget you're getting more clicks. CPM is a similar metric, but it's for impressions, not clicks. So CPM stands for cost per mil. So we're using a Latin word, so this is the Latin prefix for 1,000. So this means the cost per 1,000 impressions. An impression is when your ad is being called by a website or mobile app, or any publisher that runs your ads. An impression differs from a view in that the impression just means the ad is going to be on the page somewhere. It doesn't guarantee that it's going to be actually viewed and looked at and noticed by the user, right? So maybe this ad, there is an impression at the bottom of the screen, but the user won't ever scroll down entirely until the bottom, okay? So not all impressions are actually viewed. So cost per impression is going to be slightly lower than the cost per view in most cases, okay? And the difference between the two is the viewability. And we can even talk about viewability rates, but that's not in the article, and that may be the topic for another video. Tell me in the comments if you want me to talk some more about viewability and explain in more details what's the difference between a view and an impression. But anyway, so let's say, so this is the most common, so cost per impression is the most common form of a business model in online ads. So you pay the website for every time that they print or display an ad on their page, which is an impression. Okay, regardless of whether people actually see it or not, if the website is displaying this ad on their website, it's an impression. So usually we pay per impression online, and websites prefer that because they cannot know in advance if people are going to click or not. So most websites want to be paid in cost per impression. But the good news for you is that if you manage your ads correctly, or if you use a tool like Ad360, which optimizes and manages your ads automatically, we're going to find the right places to run your ads so that these impressions lead to clicks. And if that's the case, and if your ads have a good messaging in front of the right people in the right context, you're going to pay a lower cost per click than if you had paid a PPC campaign in most cases. Okay, I'm simplifying a bit because I don't want this video to be too long, but I'm just trying to give you a sense of why paying per impression can be interesting, as long as you're buying the right impression in the right places at the right time. For example, if you're selling gardening tools, if you're running these ads on websites that talk about automotive, it's not going to make a lot of sense. But if you're showing your ads about gardening tools on gardening blogs and on articles that talk about how to start your garden, how to start gardening, what vegetables should you be planting at the moment in this season, then it's going to be highly relevant, and there's a higher chance that people click on your ads, and that should give you a better CPC. Okay, to give you a sense of what's going on when you pay in PPC. Usually you pay anywhere from $1 to $2, $3, sometimes more. If you buy CPM, like for example on Ad360, Ad360 uses the CPM model to run ads all over the web and on mobile apps. So we buy by the impression, but we're trying to filter and choose the right impressions for your brand and your products, and we buy them for the right people on the website so that we get a higher click-through rate, CTR, which I'm going to get to in a second. Then at the end of the day, we can get a CPC which is below 50 cents, sometimes below 30 cents, sometimes even lower than that. This is not a guarantee, because since we're not in a pay-per-click model, we cannot guarantee there is going to be a high number of clicks, and we cannot guarantee a certain price per click. But what I'm telling you is, when we run campaigns for our clients, usually at the end of the day, they get the best CPC with us than on any other platform. And that's because we buy impressions, but we buy relevant impressions in relevant places at the relevant time. Okay, hope this makes sense. And so as I just said, so we use the click-through rate to measure if these impressions led to clicks or not. So CTR, the click-through rate, is the number of clicks divided by the number of impressions. So if you have 10 clicks out of 1,000 impressions, that's 10 out of divided by 1,000, that's 1% click-through rate. So a higher click-through rate is better. If you have like a 2% or 3% click-through rate, it means you have a higher proportion of your impressions that are giving you clicks, right? So we usually use CTR to measure whether the ads are generating enough attention and interest for people to click on them and visit your website. But the paying for the highest CTR possible is not always the right choice, because if people click twice as frequently but the cost for the impression was 4 times more, at the end of the day you're going to be losing out, right? Hear me out. If you're, let's say I have a certain CPM and I have a 1% conversion rate, and if I can buy another impression which is 4 times the price, and even if the CTR is twice better, I'm still going to have a CPC which is twice more expensive, right? So it's not always better to pay for the highest click-through rate campaign. Sometimes you're better off buying a lower click-through rate campaign if the cost of the impressions is even lower than that, right? Hope I'm making sense. Okay, and return on ad spend is a super important metric, because it's the how much money you got, so the return, divided by the number or the amount of money you spent on ads. So usually you want this to be greater than 1, because 1 means you made exactly as much as you spent. But usually we want that number to be even higher than 3 or 5 or 7, depending on your margin, because not all of your revenue is going to your pocket, right? You need to pay for your product, your shipping, your operational expenses. So depending on your margin level, your break-even point, that's some, you want your return on ad spend to be as high as possible. So recently we had a client with higher than 10 return on ad spend. So that's really good. It means for $1 spent on ads, they got $10 back, which is really good. So, but depending on your margin level, you could be happy with a return on ad spend of 5, or you could be disappointed with a return on ad spend of 8. So it all depends on your margin level and what kind of business you're in. But at the end of the day, if you're measuring everything, if you're tracking everything correctly, you should be using the return on ad spend as the most important advertising metric there is. All the other ones are just helping you to measure what's going on in between, right? If you have a bad CTR, it's an indication that your ads maybe are not, the messaging is not super effective, they're not grabbing people's attention as much as they should. If the CPM is too high, it means probably you're paying too much, you're not buying the best opportunities, maybe you need to run on other websites which are more affordable. If you have a low CPC, it's good. But if at the end of the day your ROAS, your return on ad spend, is not good, it means maybe in the middle you have a conversion rate issue. On the other hand, if you have a good conversion rate, which is between 1 and 2%, which is the average, but your ads are not profitable, could mean that you're paying too much per each click, right? I see a lot of people out there paying $1 to $2 per click. They bring people to their website, and on average, on all e-commerce websites, you have a between 1 and 2% conversion rate. Now, of course, depends on your website quality, depends on your industry, on your products, but that's the average. The online average is 2%, and when you're getting started, you're closer to 1%. So 1% conversion rate means that you're selling one product for each 100 people on your website. So if you're paying $1 CPC, and you have a 1% conversion rate, if you do the math, it means you need to pay $100 to generate one sale. So if your product that you're selling is like $60, this means that you have a return ad spend of 60 divided by 100. So that's really bad, it's below 1. So what to do in that case? Either you have to increase the average order value, the AOV. We had made another video to talk about AOV and CT and CVRs and add to cart rates, so I'm not covering that today. I will put in the description the link to that video. But if you're paying $100 to generate a $60 sale, that means your ROAS is 0.6. So that's not great. So in that case, either you increase your average order value, so you make sure people buy a bundle, they buy more expensive products. So if they buy for like $150, of product instead of 60, then your return on ad spend is 1.5, which is already better. Might not be ideal because of your margin level, but at least it's better. The second solution is buying cheaper clicks. So assuming you keep a 1% conversion rate, if instead of paying $1 per click, you spend 20 cents per click, this means that you're getting 5 users for the same price, right? So this means if you spend $100, you don't get 100 visits, but 500 visits. And then you can be a lot more profitable. Okay? I'm not going to go through everything else, but I really recommend you have a look at this AIDA model, attention, interest, desire, action. I might make another video. If you're interested, tell me in the descriptions below. This is a super important framework to know how to talk to your prospects or your customers depending on where they are in the marketing funnel. If you don't know what a marketing funnel is, tell me also in the comments, because I can make a video about that as well. And lastly, SEO, we talked about that before. Search engine optimization, we made a few videos, and you have a few other interesting things which I will not describe today. So if you want to learn more, I encourage you to read the article entirely. If you have more questions about these topics that we've talked about, like the maybe conversion rate, average order value, if you want me to cover the impression versus view subtleties, if you want me to talk about the AIDA model and the marketing funnel, please tell me in the comments. I'd be super happy to make a video about that. I hope you liked this video. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe to the channel. That helps us a lot. And if you'd like to learn how we can generate cheap cost per click and help you generate better results, better return on ad spend, there is a link in the description to book a free demo and a free call to discuss how Ad360 can help you increase your online sales. I look forward to talking with you, and I wish you a ton of success.